This video is sponsored by NVIDIA. Okay, guys, we're back in the world that we're working on with another build team. We're playing, just for clarity's sake, for those of you that didn't catch the first episode of this series, we're playing in Minecraft Windows 10 edition with RTX on. It is looking very, very cool. These lights, I love the lights and stuff. Now, as we mentioned before, like I said, we're working with a build team. The concept or the challenge from NVIDIA is take an idea of mine and put it together with a build team, and the build team kind of helps bring it to life. Now, I've been playing around with the laptop that NVIDIA sent me, and we're going to do a little bit of color science later. We're going to talk about the ray tracing in this, because now we've got a bunch of colored lights. Last episode, we had one color. Or two colors, a couple colors. Now we've got a bunch more colors. We're going to talk about that and kind of explain a little bit about how this full path ray tracing can be really beneficial in a build like this. But the idea is we're mixing medieval architecture with a cyberpunk style, a cyberpunk kind of genre in that timeline. And I think it's coming along fairly interesting. This is, I believe this area that we're walking through is completed. Maybe there's some more work to be done on this, but I just want to walk through it a little bit so you guys can get an idea. The build team has made some executive decisions that are something that I just want to go along with and just see, you know, because they've built some big builds like this from start to finish. So I just want to see what they think. Or I want to see what it ends up like. Personally, I think there are some things like the 50% scale. For me, I wouldn't have done that because I think it makes it really hard to make the buildings look cool when you're walking around like this. But we're going to do some building. We're going to do some building together today. That might not stay. It probably won't stay, but it's some stuff to kind of showcase what I think this whole thing could look like. Additionally, I kind of wanted to have the whole thing medieval, you know, medieval style all the way throughout. And they felt like that would be kind of not a great mix. So they decided, I mean, look at how cool this looks. This is a cyberpunk city from up above like this. It looks really cool. It's just a cyberpunk style city. Which is really neat, but they felt like the mix of medieval would probably not look so great. So they decided to kind of do this cool city like this, which I think is pretty neat. And then kind of put like the medieval stuff kind of on the outskirts, and it's a little bit on the inside here as well. So yeah, that's kind of the progress update and where we're at. There are some things I wanted to show you, some cool things with this lighting that I think is really cool. So look at that trapdoor. So trapdoors, there are some texture changes in here as well. So if those are jarring, I can explain those a little later. That light, or that you see pink right there, and that's kind of an example of what this thing is. That is reflecting. That's a reflective material that's reflecting the pink off of this sign, just like it would in real life. Oh, they changed the ladder texture as well. That's what that is, to kind of showcase what the scale is, like what that ladder scale would be like, scaled down to 50%. So, yeah, so that reflecting right there. And look at this. Look at the glass over the sea lanterns. I think that looks really, really cool. But I wanted to show you a little bit about the colored lighting. It's something that people have asked for in Minecraft for so long. And here on the Windows 10 RTX version, it's here. It's here. So here we have the glazed terracottas are actually glowing. And I put this in a little bit of a color wheel because I wanted to explain something with a little bit of the color theory. Let me make a day real quick. Aha, beautiful morning. So this is kind of, I mean, with Minecraft blocks, this is kind of what it looks like as far as a color wheel is concerned. And the way this works, and what I would use this for in a case like this, is finding complementary colors. So usually, let's say you want one light to be yellow. Ideally, you'd find the complementary color, which would be purple. You just go across the board. So cyan, This is more like a red, like a slightly orangish red would mix well with cyan. Blue mixes well with orange. These colors are called complementary colors. Let me show you why at nighttime. Oh, look at that beautiful city at nighttime. That's really cool. But let's take two colors. Take two colors that would be kind of complementary. So red. We know that red and green are complementary colors. So let's grab green. If you put red and green next to each other, the mix is gray or white or no color. When they mix, there's no color. And that helps retain the color in the buildings. So if you don't want something to kind of shift in the way it's colored, you do complementary colors. Now look at this now. If we took red and we took blue, it actually makes purple. Look in the center here. It's purple. There's true, real color mixing happening, which I think is amazing. Let's take orange. And let's take what would be a good complementary? Blue. Okay? This should make gray. There's like no color in the middle there. It's a pretty much white light. I love it. Right now, what I think is really good for Cyberpunk is red and cyan. I think those two mix pretty well, and you get a little reddish hue, but I think it still looks awesome. So those are two colors. The sea lanterns. The sea lanterns really showcase that color. And there it is. It's pretty gray in the center. So I think those two colors work really good together, and you can see how they're using lots of cyan light throughout, which I think is really, really cool. I mentioned last episode how I thought it would be cool to make one of these buildings have like a really cool kind of medieval top to it. And because I really wanted to see that. I really wanted to see like just medieval style towers and cathedrals and Gothic style throughout here. But again, like I said, they kind of preferred to go a different direction on that. Maybe we can pick some of these towers and just see what that would look like. Because it's something that you don't see very often. Progress is really coming along. There's this stuff to do and some other stuff on the other side. But I want to do some building myself. Maybe over here, maybe over there. But I really want to get in and get my hands dirty and really play with this style and see what we can create. Let's talk about diorite for a second, shall we? Oh, you guys know that I like using diorite kind of as a meme. Because it's kind of widely known in the Minecraft community as like kind of a gross looking block, right? So I like to look at it as a challenge block. Like, how can I use that? So I want to explain, because since this series, we're doing this a little different style, a little bit slower paced. It gives the opportunity to kind of talk about how I like to use diorite. Oh, yeah. So as a main block, and when I say main block, I mean like the only block in a build, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Yet, last episode when I did an example build, I kind of used it as a primary block, the only block, without really mixing it up. But those of you that have followed me for a long time, I kind of believe that if you have an area that's like 3x3, with no breaks in it, it gets kind of, it's a little too much. And the same goes, I mean, obviously for this concrete, but the same goes for any block, really. That changes a little bit when we bring the scale down, right? When we're doing it, working at 50% scale. But the way I like to use diorite is more of an accent block. So more so like the building was made out of white, like plaster or something, and then you use this as an opportunity to kind of break things up, right? And then that all of a sudden takes that, look at how that stark white plane, this adds a little bit of life and movement into things. Let's actually put that back there and put that there. You get a little bit of life and movement where it gives character to the building. Actually, I'm going to do something different on the bottom. So that's kind of how I like to use diorite. It's another reason why I've kind of prefer using diorite in a lot of situations, because it's unique. But I think that's a really cool look. So I've used that in the past. Just a little tip if you want to start using diorite a little bit. Don't use it all over the place too much. Just use it in little pieces like that, and it can look pretty cool because it's a noisy block. You know, it can look kind of funny pretty quick, but yeah, and there you go. That's probably too much in that case. But it's just something that you kind of mess with, and you just stand back and say, okay, that's a good look, like that. I think that looks pretty nice. I've been thinking about the scale. And this is something that I'm kind of just treating myself as like one of the build team members here. Let's go Diorite again. And I've been thinking about the scale in like the windows and stuff. And normally the way we do windows, right, is we'll just knock out like something like that, where it's more too tall, vertical, or something like that. In a case like this, we can kind of shrink that. We can make that happen like that. You get that same size, 2 high by 1 wide, but it's just a little smaller, and we can use, there are more stair blocks. You can see they used a lot of textures for roads and stuff here, but we could just use straight up diorite and see how that looks, because it would look like there's a little weathering around the window or something like that. I think that's cool. I think that's how I might think about going for the window designs in a build like this. And then at nighttime, you still get that really warm glow coming through there. That's part of the whole ray tracing thing, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking this area, and like I said, this will probably not make it into the main build, but I'm just taking this area and having some fun, kind of playing in the playground here a little bit, and trying out a little bit of how I might tackle something like this. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going on this thing, and yeah, see what we come up with. And then maybe these 3 right here, making these a little more medieval style, could be a cool thing. Since we're right in this area, maybe I'll tackle that. We'll see. Anyway, back to work for B-Dubs. Oh, baby, B-Dubs is having some fun. Look at this. Oh, I think it looks so beautiful. The playing with this light is so fun for me. This is something that they kind of did a little deeper in the map that I'll show you in a little bit, but look at this view. There's some things I want to point out from this, because I want this to kind of be, guys, if you play with this RTX, it's a whole new set of blocks, almost. When you're playing with light, it's like getting so much more toys to play with. We're not used to this. It's so amazing. But here, this is kind of like, I thought this would be kind of cool to have like in the sidewalks, kind of this like lit pathway thing. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about like a cyberpunk technology and style integrated into a medieval style. As you guys can see, this kind of matches a little bit of some of the builds I've done in the past, right? It's got that feel with the greenery going up the side, the ivy along the side, but then boom, we pop in some of this stuff. So this is kind of that neon light that I was kind of referencing in last episode as well. These 2 buildings are kind of the same, so I just made them mirror each other in a way. But yeah, I think this looks really cool. Did it on both sides. I think it looks pretty sick. I love it. And then I made some changes. I just playing with some, this acacia works really well. I think this was granite, polished granite before, but this acacia stripped log looks really good as kind of like a metal block or copperish block, They just played around in here, added some light up there, but here I added a little bit of a redstone torch up there to kind of draw your eye in to the city. Just a little light up there. And that's what I want to work on next, is up on those towers. But here, and this can only be done every once in a while because it's a little strong. But someone suggested, I asked for suggestions in the last episode, and somebody suggested adding some fog or some stuff coming up like that. Not fog, but like steam coming out of the sewers. And I think that really does add to like the cyberpunk feel. But here we're using those colors, the cyan and the red, and they just mix really nice together. And the reason why, like I said before, the reason why we like them so much is because when they mix, it just goes into gray. It doesn't create a new color. So I think that's really cool. But I think, where is that? Over here, maybe. Aha, yes. Right here. Check this out. Now where I did it, the trapdoor, because of the sake of wanting to keep the sidewalk level the same. The lights were one below the trapdoor, but look at that with the trapdoor right on the light. Isn't that such a cool look and feel? I love this little tunnel. I think that's so cool. And then here, you see some of that lighting as well. But I think this would look really cool with some panes on it to kind of give it that cyan feel. So yeah, this is kind of what the style was. And we've adjusted it a little bit to kind of match what we've done in the past as far as building styles. Building styles, it's an art. It's just something that some people have different preferences of what they like. And this is kind of mine. I think it can be labeled as a little bit noisy, but I really like it. I think it looks really good. But now what I want to do is kind of try to tackle. Now, this might be difficult because these are some big towers up here. You can see, I think the trapdoors are preventing that light from poking through and rendering. So I think we'll probably, let's just knock out a couple trapdoors and see if we do see this from a distance. Because I see those lights from a distance. Yeah. So the trapdoors, it actually creates kind of a cool effect. But these are some pretty big towers. But I'm basically kind of trying to create a little bit of my vision from this spot right here. Get a little bit of the medieval city and then get like some medieval towers so we can kind of feel what I was thinking on this thing. Got a little bit of pink light under here as well as a little bit of change it up. I think that looks really cool. But yeah, let's try to do a little castle tower style on at least one of these, maybe all three, and just see how that looks. Maybe just a facade. We'll see. Ooh, listen to this. On the Windows 10 edition, it makes sound when you throw and pick up. Ooh, that's satisfying. Okay, sorry, B-Dubs got a little distracted, but I did 2 out of the 3 towers. 2 out of 3 isn't bad because the other one's kind of blocked in the view anyway. And I'm just kind of doing this for my own sake, just to get, some feel. While I was messing with this, I was getting some other things, but I think that looks really cool. Like the big number on the side. Somebody commented in the last episode, so they said Cyberpunk style. Neon signs, big advertisements, and big numbers. Got it. Okay, so that's all it is. Obviously, it's more than that. But those are some significant things that I see from it that I think look really cool. Obviously, I just did facades here. I didn't go all out on this, but you can kind of get the feel. And boy, I think that could look really cool. Mixed in from time to time. I mean, if the whole thing was all kind of medieval style, I think it would look very cool as well. But from this shot right here, I think it's great. Something that in Disney, what they do with scale, when they're trying to really force the scale, the stuff that's close by to you, they don't shrink it too much. They shrink it to like 3/4 of the size of what you would normally see. So the buildings that you can go in and stuff, the roof line is a little lower. But the stuff that's far away, they really shrink that down beyond 50%. So, of course, I tried to stick to that strictly on this and keep the windows, real small on it and try to just keep everything kind of, condensed. That does make these look very, very tall, but I think it looks real cool even still. There was something else that I was thinking about doing. Let's see. And I'm just trying to give you guys some ideas if you decide to play around with this. We can do it right here, actually. If we go like that and then take the iron, that does a really cool thing from a distance. It kind of creates like a look of like on a small scale like this, like a bunch of vertical windows, but that's a really cool look. I think that looks pretty awesome. I also added a little minecart in here because you guys know me, right? Even though there's some wood, I think a little homage back to regular Minecraft is kind of always a fun thing to add into a build. And a little bit of wood adds some warmth and life. The suggestion with the campfire was such a brilliant suggestion because it does exactly that. It adds life into the build, movement, and those sorts of things. Little things. When you really try to put yourself in the build and try to say, okay, if I was really here, or think about areas that you've walked through or look at reference images, it kind of helps bring something to life. And something like this, you're walking around, maybe there's a little factory that's sending stuff back and forth. Obviously, it's going back a little fast. Maybe I'd slow it down a little bit. But I think that's really cool. So here we go, guys. A little bit of cyberpunk style mixed with medieval architecture. I think it looks really, really cool. Now, I want to tell you, last episode I said there was going to be a giveaway. So NVIDIA was kind enough to give me a 3070 graphics card to give away to one of you guys. So in the next episode, we will do that giveaway. I think the best way to do that, leave a comment down below. Sorry, my phone's going off. I'll have a comment, a pinned comment that you can reply to. And once that is filled up, because I think 500 comments is the most, once that's filled up, that would do it. But 3070 graphics card, tell me what you would use it for. I wouldn't want to give it to somebody that doesn't have a PC that could use it. Tell me what you could use it for. And then next episode, we will give that away to somebody. I'll get in touch with you and we'll get it sent out. But very kind of NVIDIA to do that. Again, so cool that they're sponsoring this series, because this idea of working along with a build team to do this is so cool, and it's bringing something really cool to life, I think. But anyway, one more emote punch for the road. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.